Well, another video, walk and talk, and this one's about a follow-on from the what is coaching and how to coach. So the next question is, should I coach? So I thought whilst I'm on my dog walk this morning, whilst I'm with this little guy, we'll do a little walk and talk. The problem I have is there's a hill coming, so I'm going to be out of breath, but I'll do my best to explain to you if you should coach or not. So if you're thinking about getting into coaching, this video might be for you. So if you're somebody that can communicate and you've got a sort of this underlying sense of wanting to help people, then this could be for you. But how do you start? Well, you just got to start. You start by finding a little bit of a foundation, a little bit of a starting point. Maybe you've done the sport, you've played the sport, so you've got an understanding. Let's assume that for a moment. Well, give UK as an example. I've got like a free online course for football. It's like 3-4 hours. And actually it's got some good stuff in there, really. Some fundamental learning, and it really gives you an overview of everything you need to know to get started with coaching. So I would recommend that if you're in the UK. If you're elsewhere, I'm sure there's a local kind of regional state introduction to coaching. You'd need to look into that. But I would do that, and I would also think about what other things you need to do as basics. You know, of course, if you're working with children, there's going to be safeguarding things you're going to have to go through. So let's assume that these things are done. I would, as soon as possible after that, I would think about getting involved within a club, a volunteering role. You might get lucky in a part-time paid role. And I would try and get your details out to speak to people. And when you get an opportunity to speak to somebody, show them your communication skills. You know, show them your love for the sport and why you want to coach it. You need to be ready at a point where you have a conversation with someone to show them that you've got communication skills. And, you know, if I'm interviewing or having a chat with somebody from my football school, if you can't talk to me very well, it's not really going to work out. And I'm not here to be picky, but if I ask a question and I get a one-word answer, and it's an open question, which is tricky to get a one-word answer from, it makes things a little bit challenging if you're going to be involved in the coaching world. Because when you start coaching, it is a little bit daunting. You know, you've got potentially parents watching. You know, you're like, oh, they're watching me. They're not watching you, really. They care about their kids. But that's something we can go on about in another video, about sort of the overview of sessions and what you can do. I think get exposure to a session, if you can, that has somebody there that you are learning from, that you can get influence on. There's no good you going somewhere with a bunch of other newbies and not learning anything. You know, you might have fun, but I would suggest try and go somewhere where the point of your, if you like, line management, the point of your kind of person, your hierarchy, is someone that knows what they're doing a little bit, so you can learn off them. And I would suggest that in any kind of job, really. Are you close enough to the person to learn off the person? There's no good the person running it, but you never see them and their skills. So try and get involved with something where you're learning on the job every single time. And that's the best advice I can give. And then look at your qualifications. You know, I'm not suggesting you don't do them. Of course, do qualifications, but how many you do will be dependent on the pathway you want to choose. You know, I did qualifications until a certain point. I can still do more now. I choose not to. I've coached for nearly 30 years, so I don't need to for what I'm doing, but I do get refreshers. So I refresh courses. It was only a few years ago I did a couple of badges again, and that's because I started doing them like 25, 30 years ago. For me, I was lucky. My experience was always football, and I had an opportunity to coach in America. And so in 1999, yeah, that long ago, as a very young kid, well, I was an adult, I had the exposure of 6 months or so coaching in America, going state to state, doing soccer camps. And I was in a group of mixed experience, so I learnt off it. And there was obviously a lead person in the group who I learnt a lot from. And that was my sort of building block, if you like, for what I wanted to do after that. It took me in a way where I didn't always coach full-time after that. I coached part-time, but it gave me some learning blocks to use coaching in other management roles and things I did as my sort of career progressed. So think about where you're going. Think about what starting point you need to have to get exposure to coaching. What can you do in those early stages to learn off somebody? Then have a plan for the qualifications you need to do. Don't overthink doing loads of qualifications first. Let's think about getting on-the-job experience and then just see if you like it. So the question and answer to should I coach is give it a go. Give it a go. Try and give it a go though, where you're with a person or a company that you get exposure to learning experience. Tell me what you think in the comments. What are you looking to do? What's holding you back? Is it nerves? Is it confidence? There's things we can go through on this channel to support that, but be really keen to know what's holding you back from giving something a go. And put it in the comments and I'll get back to you. Thanks a lot. See you in the next one.